Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie. Today I have a big book haul from 2 months worth of book purchases. So let's just get into it. There are a couple here that are on my August TBR, so I will refer you to that video for more information, including Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen, Upgrade by Blake Crouch, Woman Eating, a novel by Claire Coda, and Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer. And Confessions. I don't think I hauled this one yet. So go check that video out if you haven't already. First, let's talk about some fantasy books. I got The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This is the republished version, and I think the new one comes out pretty soon. Look at that. Wait, is this fantasy? Okay, why did I think this is fantasy? Actually, this might just be dark academia, but 6 students are... Oh no, they're talented musicians. Talented magicians. We are not getting off to a great start. 6 talented magicians are selected to earn a place at Alexandrian society. Dangerous enemies, fight tooth and nail, and they won't all survive the year. People rave about this and they also rant about it. So I'm very interested to see where I fall on that scale. I feel like I am promised a good time either way. Then we have Not Good for Maidens by Tori Bovalino. This is a story about the goblin market, which I'm not familiar with at all. And this is like the second goblin market retelling I've heard about this year, so I really should brush up on what that is. But I think this is like a family saga. So back in the day, there was like a witch that fell in love with a goblin woman, and then 18 years later, that woman's niece is somehow thrown into the goblin market. I don't know what's going on here, okay? But my God, how beautiful is that cover? Then we have The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, a novel by Grady Hendrix. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. I still have never read Grady Hendrix. I know that this title is pretty accurate. It's about a Southern book club, and I think the vampire in question is not very glamorous. He's kind of crusty and musty, and the town is trying to push him out because I think he's being an actual menace. Then I have Lapvona, a novel by Atessa Moshfegh. I've been hearing some weird stuff about this that I'm not too accurate about, so forgive me for gossiping right now, but there's something going on about how there are a lot of feminist themes in here, but she apparently had no intention of putting it in there. If you know what I'm talking about, or you know what the actual truth is, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I have absolutely no idea what this is about. I'm gonna say that a lot in this video, so my apologies. Okay, I'm gonna read the little Goodreads blurb where I can so that I'm not reading you the entire flap of the book if I don't understand it. So, in a village in a medieval fiefdom buffeted by natural disasters, a motherless shepherd boy finds himself the unlikely pivot of a power struggle that pulls all manner of faith to a savage test in a spellbinding novel that represents Atessa Moshfegh's most exciting leap yet. That didn't really give me much information, but I hear it's really gory and kind of effed up, which does excite me. Then we have Gideon the Ninth. A lot of you have also read this because I've seen it in your videos. I'm so excited to read this, and I hear that the second one is even better. So that makes me very, very excited. This is lesbian necromancers exploring a haunted gothic palace in space. Do I need to know more? Probably. Do I care? No, that's all I want to read. Then we have When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nhi Vo. This is the sequel to The Empress of Salt and Fortune, which I cannot find in my shelf, but I really, really enjoyed that book. It's tiny, first of all, but it's a real storytelling story. The sort of main character of The Empress and Salt and Fortune was a clerk or a cleric or something like that, and they listened to other people's stories to document just history. And they were listening to Rabbit, who was like the best friend of the Empress of Salt and Fortune. And I really fell in love with how that story was told. I don't know, that's just something I've really been loving this year, is just storytelling within a story. And I'm hoping that Chi goes on to find another story to tell or to listen to. Chi will unwind the intricate layered story of the tiger Ho Ti Tao and her scholar lover, a woman of courage, intelligence, and beauty, and discover how truth can survive becoming history. Next we have Hell Followed With Us, and this took forever to get to me. It was like on a waiting list on Amazon. But I watched Books with Asia's video on this, which I will link down below, and she cried and she got so emotional about this, and I started crying, and I was like, God, I need to read this book. Apparently it's really gory and really intense. It's following a 16-year-old trans boy named Benji. He's on the run from the cult that raised him. So you got me right there. But this is actually kind of post-apocalyptic, and I think it's fantasy as well, because there's monsters, bioweapons, I don't know, lots of stuff going on, and I'm excited to go along the journey. Although I am scared because I know I will cry. But gosh darn, look at that cover. Next we have Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, and I bought this after I read You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty because I loved the writing in that, and that was my first Akwaeke Emezi book. But I had seen so much about this little book named Pet. Obviously, these are going to be very different because You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty was a contemporary romance, but also a story of grief, and I think grief is going to play a role in here. So this is about a girl named Jam and her best friend Redemption. They meet Pet, who is a creature who some might call monstrous, but in reality is anything but. Pet has emerged from one of her mother's painting to hunt a true monster. I don't know exactly what any of that means, but it sounds riveting. Then we have The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. I think this is like thriller and sort of SFF because there's a clone in it. So listen to this. Martine is a genetically cloned replica made from Evelyn Caldwell's award-winning research. She's patient and gentle and obedient. She's everything Evelyn swore she'd never be. And she's having an affair with Evelyn's husband. Now the cheating bastard is dead. Sorry, I love that line. And both Caldwell wives have a mess to clean up. Good thing Evelyn Caldwell is used to getting her hands dirty. I mean, that just sounds wonderful. Then we have We Ride Upon Sticks, a novel by Quan Berry. And this is not a book I would normally pick up because it's about field hockey. However, it has some sort of weird cult thing happening or witchy thing happening. It's weaved together the individual and collective progress of this enchanted team. And I hear that there's a part of it that's kind of like in Bunny where is it third person plural? Like we're doing this, or I don't know. I'm just so excited. I don't usually care for sports in my books that I read, especially in YA, because I don't know, I'm just rude like that. But I love a witchy book. I love female friendship, and I love when authors play with narrating styles. I eat that shit up. Then we have a couple books that I don't know if they are like science fiction or fantasy or contemporary. They might be speculative, or it might be like a surprise to the reader or one of those psychological things. I don't know. I got 3 of Nina LaCour's books. Originally, I got Yerba Buena. Actually, I might have already shown you this. I hear that it is kind of dark though, and that the cover is kind of like tricking us into thinking it's like some pretty story. I know it's about 2 women. One of them I think is a waitress and the other owns a floral shop. They fall in love with each other, and I think one of them's married, so it's some affair. So it sounds like maybe it'll be sad. And judging by the synopses of her other 2 books that I bought, I'm guessing so. So then I got We Are Okay, which I've definitely seen before, but I don't really know much about it. I think this is Nina LaCour's first adult novel, and these 2 are YA. I also got Watch Over Me. This is like a ghost story, but also it sounds like both of these deal with trauma, and so maybe it's not actually a haunting, it's like a psychological haunting. Yeah, the synopses aren't giving me much, so I'm just gonna go in feet first, head first. I'm gonna dive in. I guess you dive in with your hands first. And then we have Tripping Arcadia, a gothic novel by Kit Mayquist. And it says a gothic novel, so I don't know if this is part gothic. You would think so. But I feel like gothic as a genre means that there is some sort of supernatural element to it. The thing that makes me a little nervous is that it's saying it has all the splendor of The Great Gatsby. And it's calling great attention to that. I don't like The Great Gatsby, so that makes me very nervous. But I think this is dark academia, maybe. So our main character named Lena dropped out of med school, and now she's assisting a family doctor and his charge, Jonathan. But Lena is falling for Jonathan's sister. There's lavish parties at the house, destructive tendencies, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, someone who lives in this house is responsible for the ruin of her own family, so it's a revenge story, but also about the dangerous power of wealth. I don't know, this sounds a little boring. I'm sorry. I don't know. For some reason, I'm not really into it, but it looks gorgeous, and that's what really matters. Oh God. Now moving more toward contemporary, although this might be a little science fiction. We have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, a novel by Gabrielle Zevin. This is a chunker. And the initial synopsis of this is it's about two friends who I think are going to Harvard together. They're two friends, often in love, but never lovers. That part intrigues me. They said they come together in the world of video game design and they get famous for it. There's joy, tragedy, duplicity, ultimately a kind of immortality. I hope this gets sci-fi or it's really gripping. It's giving me one day where they're gonna realize that the fame and fortune is not everything they wanted. I actually don't like that story. I feel like it's kind of boring, but I trust in this author, so I will give it a try. I have a couple romance books. We have The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, which I just finished last night. Let me tell you, I have a very strong opinion about this book. It'll be in my next vlog, so actually, if you like this book, don't watch that vlog. There's a hint right there for you. This is about a female bodyguard and he's an actor. He's gone home to Texas because his mom has breast cancer and he doesn't want the family to know that he is a bodyguard. So they have to fake date. And that's all I'm telling you. Then I have Briefly a Delicious Life, a novel by Nell Stevens. Look how pretty this is. This is actually a lot of genres. So first, it's a sapphic romance, but it's also paranormal because our main character is a ghost. This is set in 1838, so it's historical as well. And it's about George Sand. Our ghost is in love with George Sand, who was a woman back in the day, who is real, who wrote as George Sand. And Chopin was George Sand's famous lover. I have started this, I'm on page 30, and I really love the writing style. It feels very kind of bird's eye view because our main character is a ghost. So it really does feel ghost-like in the fact that she's skipping over time and she can kind of go into people's minds and see their dreams and their thoughts. But it's also a little sensual, which I'm loving. Our main character died as a 14-year-old, so she's kind of, horny after a couple hundred years. Then I have Tell Me Lies by Carola Lovering. I'm not sure what to think about this. I haven't really seen anyone read it on BookTube that I follow, but it's going to be a Hulu show. I have not seen the trailer or anything, so I have no idea what to expect. However, this is about a couple in college and apparently their toxic ass relationship. He has secrets to hide, but she can't tear herself away. I hope she learns to say no to the red flags. That's all I'm guessing, but I'm excited to read this. Thrillers and mysteries. I got The Woman in the Library, a novel by Solari Gentil. I've seen mixed reviews on this, and it's apparently 4 strangers are at the same table in a library and someone starts screaming and the security people are like, no one is leaving. And so they start talking and friendships are struck, but it happens that one of them is the murderer. I like this little blurb at the end. It says, it's an unexpectedly twisty literary adventure that examines the complicated nature of friendship, that's the part I like, and shows us that words can be the most treacherous weapons of all. And then I got Ruth Ware, The It Girl. I'm gonna read this in September. I'm so excited. All I know about it is that there's a main character named Hannah, and she meets this it girl named April at Oxford. And after their first year of college, April is dead. And now 10 years have gone by and something's happening. I didn't read the end of the blurb because I don't want to know too much going in. I did just read my first Ruth Ware book though, and I absolutely had so much fun and I was really surprised by the twists. I know some of her other books have gotten great high reviews and some of them people think have been very disappointing, so I am excited to find out which this one is. I got a few short story collections. First, I got Girls of a Certain Age, stories by Maria Adelman. And I got this because, oh gosh, I can't find it. I need to get more bookshelves so I don't have to shove my books in the back. But I read How to Be Eaten and I really liked the writing style, so I wanted to get the author's other work, which are these stories. Now, I have seen a couple bad reviews of this, but I love short stories, so I'm definitely gonna give it a chance. Then I got Bad Thoughts, stories by Nada Aulick. This is the most boring cover, and so I cannot remember why I bought it. What? These stories journey into the subterranean realm of a woman's mind where her most feral instincts reign. It's about all the surreal and inadmissible fantasies of contemporary women. Oh, okay. Some of the explanations of these stories are like, oh, I don't even know if I want to read that out loud. Okay, I'll just read it to you. A ghost baby, don't know what that is, desperately tries to will its potential parents to have sex. That is nasty. So yeah, bad thoughts. That makes sense. Oh my gosh, I'm so intrigued. And then we have Reward System, stories by Jem Calder. Love this cover. It's about the strange loop of technology and self, a story of two people enmeshed in Zooms and lockdowns. Wait a minute, is it following the same couple? I don't know. I'm gonna be surprised, but Sally Rooney said, after reading these stories, I found myself thinking newly and differently about contemporary life. So that's exciting. Oh crap, I missed a fantasy one. So I've been reading the Kate Daniels series on ebook. I read the first one and I fell in love with it. I was so surprised because the cover is just not very cool. Again, we have learned in this video that I am a judgy bitch. The second one I did not enjoy as much, but I still very much enjoyed it. Although I feel like it was at the point where ebooks just don't do it for me anymore. So I bought the physical copy of the third book and wow, this cover is cringe. This was the ebook cover, so it was already cringe. And then this is the physical cover. They only had one more of these left on Amazon, which is concerning. These books are about Kate Daniels, our main character, who I really like. She's feisty, but she's not a total bitch. She's very powerful. She is a mercenary and she ends up killing like any sort of demonic monster that is threatening the population or people that she loves. There's also a pack of werewolves, and I think the leader of that is her love interest, and they've been teasing it to us for 2 books now. I don't think anything's gonna happen in this book, but one can only hope. This one revolves around some sort of secret underground game. It's a fighting tournament. I don't really care what it's about. I'm invested in this series, so definitely will be reading that soon. Then I got some sad girl coming of age stories, and I can't really tell you the plot of any of these because it's pretty vague. This one sounds pretty interesting. It's called Schmutz. You can get from the cover that it's gonna be a little exciting. So it's about this young woman who grew up in a very orthodox community in Brooklyn, and she's 18 years old and she is expecting to find her husband through arranged marriage, like a lot of the people in her community. However, she goes to college and she finds online websites, if you know what I mean. And I think she tries hooking up with people and then she kind of gets grasped up in that. And so she's fighting between what her family expects and her traditional upbringing and her more contemporary obsessions, and trying to fall in the middle, understanding her sexuality, stuff like that. Sounds really interesting to me. Also dealing with female sexuality is Acts of Service. This follows a woman named Eve who has a girlfriend, but then she meets a girl named Olivia online and then some dude named Nathan, and they become a relationship, and she's just grappling with her idea of sex and sexuality. So again, pretty vague, but I love a coming of age story, especially involving awakening sexuality. We have Elif Batman's Either Or. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I've had The Idiot on my shelf for a while, and I've heard so many good things about this. So I definitely want to read this first, I think. But I saw this cover everywhere, didn't even realize it was this author, and lo and behold, no one cares about that story, I'm sorry. This is about a woman named Celine, and she is the first in her family born in America going to Harvard. She's in her sophomore year, it's in the 90s, and she's just grappling with her crush, the Hungarian countryside. She's finding conclusions about parties, alcohol, and sex. I don't know, she's just growing up, okay? That's what I hate explaining those kinds of like literary fiction, sad girl lit, is that it's all very vague sounding, but it's like gonna be rich in tone and feeling. I love those books. We have Body Grammar, a novel by Jules Oman. And this is about, I think, a young woman goes and becomes a model. It's a whirlwind of learning how to walk and how to command a body she's never felt at ease in. But then our main character fears she's losing her identity as an individual, as an artist, and as a person still in love with the girl she left behind. And then we have Avalon, and this, I'm not even kidding, I don't know what it's about at all. It's about a young girl raised in Southern California. Her mom joined a Buddhist colony, and so she's raised by her common law stepfather in a farm that is the house of a biker gang. She meets Peter, a college student from the East Coast who launches his teaching career by initiating her into the world of literature, but they become volatile in their long distance relationship. It's about one woman's reckoning with society at large and her search for a personal utopia. Sounds about as vague as I'd like. And finally, we have Less. I have seen this everywhere, and the sequel is coming out soon, so I definitely want to read the first one. And I think this is a coming of age of a middle-aged man. It's a scintillating satire of the American abroad. He goes on a bunch of places around the world. He's a failing novelist about to turn 50. His ex-boyfriend's getting married. He goes to Paris, Berlin, Morocco, Saharan sandstorm, southern India, Arabian Sea. And I wonder if he's actually traveling or if he's traveling through like his books. I don't know what's going on, but I will soon find out. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you for joining me for talking about books that I really have no idea what they are. Not including the books on my TBR, the ones I'm most excited to read are these. The Bad Thoughts. I'm sorry, I love intrusive, creepy, perverse thoughts. Pets. Definitely want to know what's going on here. Hell Followed With Us. I Want to Cry. The Echo Wife, I just want to read it. And briefly A Delicious Life, which I'm reading right now. So, very excited. Thank you for joining. See you soon. Why am I snapping? Goodbye.